Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I rise to contribute on behalf of the Greens to make a short contribution on the Regional Communities Consultation Standards Bill 2024, and we also commend the member for Barwon for bringing this important bill to the House, and to say at the outset that we are likely to also support the government's amendments because he also is, and because they make sense. Madam Speaker, I was sitting and sitting on my hands listening to the member for Dubbo and his revisionist history of the 12 years, certainly the 8 years that I sat here and was impacted by coalition's decisions in my electorate, and I can tell you right now that they do not have clean hands when it comes to the highest, delivering proper consultation with community at all. But I don't want to go there because let's focus on the positive. We welcome any standardised, we welcome standards and benchmarks for the gold standard of consultation and engagement with communities across the board, but of course particularly as the only regional MLA in the Greens party room, I have seen that with the delivering of key infrastructure like the Pacific Highway upgrade and other decisions, major decisions that impacted my community, and just how vexed this is when you are saying that you are consulting but community does not. And it was very interesting to me to hear from the member for Lismore tease that out, between the tension between governments making decisions, often making those decisions well before they talk to community, if at all, and the community's expectation of deliberative democracy. And Madam Speaker, deliberative democracy actually means that you, as a member of your community, may have an influence on the outcome of a decision. And the problem that we have, this is about setting standards of process, and we've talked about the means of delivering and the barriers to consultation, such as lack of connectivity and distance. But these are simply the means of communication. But to actually influence the actual decision, I believe the word consultation is a misnomer for a lot of people in our communities. Because, for example, when we had high schools closed in the Ballina electorate under the coalition, particularly Ballina High School, which was one of the oldest schools in my electorate, the consultation was after the decision had been made. And the community knew that, and it really, I believe, brought democracy into disrepute. The Pacific Highway upgrade, who can forget the RMS and their version of consultation, which simply was, here's a finite amount of money, people in the community are going to have an expectation that you'll make them whole, and then that got outsourced multiple times to multiple bureaucrats about public relations, and actually the community had absolutely no say in the outcome. So I think we support this. We absolutely agree that the core tenets of all consultation should be rooted in early, open and comprehensive engagement. But I would add, and we support this bill, we support this standard, and it sets a higher benchmark, and that is very, very welcome. I think we need a different language, and the Greens believe that communities should actually be they should get the proposition in the beginning and make a decision on key issues, particularly ones that are going to affect an entire region. So it doesn't actually address that and so maybe we do need a different language because I know, and I'm sure there are every member here, members of the community, when they come and talk to us, are so confused about the word consultation because the decision's already been made. And so they see it with cynicism, that it's a ticker box and a kind of covering of one's backside, as opposed to genuine deliberative processes where our communities are equal partners. So, Madam Speaker, public trust in public processes are critical for social cohesion and for the health of our shared democracy. Agreeing on minimum standards is the first, and it's a very meaningful step towards better outcomes when government is consulting, and we're, as I say, we are pleased. It is a principle at this stage. We do note that it sets a minimum standard that is compulsory, but of course you can go well and truly above that. But what is the consequence for government if they fail to meet it? What actually is the consequence? And also, it takes time for people to even know. We all see it at local government level, where something just slips in before Christmas. In terms of public submissions, and people are not sitting around, they're very busy. People are not sitting around waiting for the submission process, and in fact there's a certain milieu of society who makes submissions. So in terms of the requirement to push out information, to make sure that there is accessibility, is vital, and is a minimum standard. The government should also, in our view, consider the intent of this bill in earnest and progress work to properly ensure that public consultation standards are of a higher standard than the minimum, and that such standards be achieved in order for consultation to be accepted. Madam Speaker, this Act if it's passed, which it's likely, will be a guide, and it may or may not. We may or may not see meaningful change, but we certainly now have a North Star in terms of the processes of consultation. But I would say on behalf of my community, we still have a long way to go in terms of the proposition that communities can influence the outcomes of decision, and not just at the ballot box and not just every 4 years, but that is an ongoing genuine partnership with our communities and our constituencies. But I do want to finish by saying that in terms of the revisionist history of the Nationals, to see them standing up and pretending in this place now that they were the party of consultation with the Bush is nonsense, and proof is in the pudding. And it is absolutely in the pudding, and it is very, very hard to consult. And coming back to some of the critical infrastructure that was mentioned here today, it is messy and it is nuanced. But I would urge the government and all members of this place to talk to members of their community about that we have faced wicked problems. They are not simple solutions, and to be guided by experts, but also to listen to those community members about what their needs are so that they have genuine agency. And I've not seen that in this place. I've not seen genuine agency of our communities, and that's where we should be headed. We support the bill.